thing writers always want to do is co-write with a hit writer. In Nashville, they call that writing up. Writing up means that you're collaborating with somebody who has had more success or more experience than you have. And that's a great way to further your career. Most of the time, somebody that's a little bit ahead of you in the game, they picked up a few more tricks, they've got a little bit more understanding of the process, and you can learn from them. And then if they have a great publisher or they have a track record of success, it helps you when it's time to pitch the song. So how do you get those great situations? Well, one of the worst ways is to walk up to a hit writer that you've never met before, who doesn't know you from the man in the moon, and say, "Hey, will you write with me?" Because not only is that writer most likely going to say no, but they're also pretty likely to cross the street the next time they see you coming. Most people in the music business are really nice, songwriters especially. They're my favorite people in the world, and they just tend to be kind people who don't want to hurt your feelings. So if you put them on the spot, it's really awkward for them. You might be thinking, well, why wouldn't they want to write with me? I'm brilliant. Well, guess what? You might be, but they don't know that. And people are busy. It's so hard to get a cut. It's so hard to write a song good enough to get a cut, much less get the thing cut once you're done with it. If you don't live in Nashville, if you haven't spent time in an industry center, it might be hard to conceive of how really difficult it is. But even the major hit writers, people that have been Songwriter of the Year and won awards, they tend to get about 1 out of 10 of their songs cut. So do they have a better chance of writing a hit song with a newcomer that they don't even know? Or with one of their friends that they grew up in the business with that they've already written hit songs with? Or maybe a new co-writer who also has a track record of success. So it's hard to get those appointments with the hit writers. Even somebody that's got more experience than you or more connections who hasn't had any success yet, they probably want to write with the people they've already developed their co-writing relationships with. But that doesn't mean it's hopeless. There are 3 main reasons that you can get an appointment where you're writing up with somebody that has more experience or more success than you. The first one is if they're just blown away by you, if they've heard something from you that they're really impressed by. Maybe it's not even your ability to craft a song because maybe you haven't perfected that yet, but maybe it's the freshness of your ideas, or maybe you just enthuse your writing with so much personality that they go, man, let me take that raw material because I know how to shape it. Another reason is because somebody asked them. Maybe a publisher they know is wanting to support you and help you develop and grow, so they ask a hit writer. Maybe they helped that hit writer when they were starting out. So maybe the hit writer will just do it as a favor to somebody in the industry they know. And maybe they'll think, well, if somebody in the industry is supporting this writer and wants to get behind him, well, maybe I should give him a shot too. Well, what's the final reason? That they like you. As I've said, songwriters are nice people. I can't speak for LA or New York because I've never lived there, but I can tell you that if I told you how really warm and supportive and nurturing and caring the songwriting community is here, you'd probably think I was making it up. The truth of it is, people are busy, and yes, we're all out for ourselves because we're human beings. But the people in Nashville, the songwriters, they just have a passion for great songwriting, and they have a passion for other songwriters. So a lot of people like to help. And if they meet you and they just like you and they've got the time, they might write with you just because they enjoy being in the room with you. And maybe you just put them in a good mood, so they figure it would be fun to write with you. And they'll do it just because it sounds like something that would be fun and because they like you and they want to help you. Now, as I've said before, you don't want to just walk up to somebody that you don't know and say, "Will you help me?" because you're a total stranger imposing on their time. So what you need to do is build some relationships. You need to be out and around where there are other writers and be friendly and open, meet people, and as you meet people that you might want to write up with, try to build that relationship. One of the worst ways to do that is talk about yourself all the time. People are much more interested in talking about themselves, so if you meet a hit writer, ask questions. Ask for advice. That can be really flattering. That's saying, oh, you must be really smart. but don't impose too much. Don't overdo it. In Nashville, I know the way things work is that you have to build relationships over time. So if you meet somebody and you hit it off and you find some receptiveness, don't overdo it. Don't pounce on them because they're likely to back away. Things take time. Don't rush it. Let your relationship grow naturally. I'll give you a hint. Getting where you want to go in the music business, for 999 writers out of 1,000 at least, it's going to take way longer than you ever want it to. So be patient and don't put somebody on the spot. Don't make it awkward for them. Don't make somebody say no to you, because most people are nice and they don't want to say no. And if you make them say no to you, they're going to feel awkward the next time they see you. So let's say you've built this relationship and you're starting to think, well, okay, they seem to like me. They seem receptive to me. Maybe it's appropriate to broach the subject of co-writing. Obviously, the best thing is if they bring it up and say, hey, why don't we write sometime? But if that doesn't happen, and if you think it's appropriate, you might want to start out by just saying, hey, I just finished a new song. Would you be willing to listen and let me know what you think? Because then they get a chance to hear what you can do. They get a chance to evaluate your writing without being put on the spot or asking to give up some of their time. But if you do that, be prepared that they might not like it. And if you're going to ask for somebody's feedback, you have to be open to what they say. And as a side note, the proper response when somebody criticizes your song is thank you. Even if you think they're crazy, even if it hurts your feelings, even if you don't think they know what they're talking about, the proper response is thank you, because if it's not, it's going to slam that door shut in your face. You have to be easy to say no to. So one strategy is just to ask somebody to listen to your song and give some advice. But if that happens, be prepared that you might hear something that will hurt your feelings or that you didn't want to hear. But then that probably tells you that you might not be ready to co-write with them, or they don't think you are, so you can spare yourself the rejection of asking and being told no. Another hint I'll give you about Nashville is a lot of people, because they're nice and they don't want to hurt your feelings, they'll say, sure, man, email me next time you're in town. And then what happens is they never return your email. So watch out for that. People want to be nice, so take it with a grain of salt when they make offers like that. But follow through. If somebody says that, follow through. Another suggestion is to ask somebody, hey, I've got a bunch of ideas that I feel really good about. Could you take a few minutes sometimes and look them over and see if there's one that you're excited enough about to co-write with me? Because one thing that a lot of, especially experienced writers, are always looking for is a great idea. And if an inexperienced writer brings a great idea to an experienced writer, that experienced writer knows what to do with it. And if they get excited about it, chances are they'll write with you because they want to get in on that idea.